Welcome to this week's edition of World Crisis Radio. This is Webster Tarpley coming to you from Washington, D.C. Let us begin with the obvious topic A, the massive escalation by Obama signaled in the West Point exercise in demagogy this week, a speech that will rank with those of Dr. Goebbels in the annals of deception, double talk, and duplicity as a mask for aggression. Before we get into the astounding reality underlying this demagogic performance, let's remember the active side is what we need. Get active or get radioactive, and that applies with a vengeance today. There's an emergency anti-war demonstration at Lafayette Park across from the White House on Saturday, December 12th, 2009, from 11 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Saturday, December 12th, 12-12 day, 11 o'clock in the morning, and it will go on through the afternoon. Two former presidential candidates, Senator Mike Gravel, Democrat from Alaska, will be there. Cynthia McKinney, Green Party candidate for president, will be there. Various anti-war organizations, Deborah Sweet of The World Can't Wait, one of the groups that distinguished itself for its refusal to be duped and hoodwinked by the demagogue and aggressor and Wall Street puppet Obama. We've also got some other organizations represented, the Answer Coalition, for example, who are also mounting the larger anti-war demonstration in March in the springtime. But the reality is now. So if you're anywhere near Washington, D.C., and that is a range of a couple of hundred miles, I would think, given this emergency. This is an emergency regroupment of an anti-war movement which has been, frankly, moribund. It's been AWOL for the past 24 months in terms of serious mass action. Now, this may not be a mass action in itself, but the idea is to promote the regroupment of the anti-war movement to the point where regroupment and a new mobilization is possible. And it's going to be a matter also of separating out the Democratic Party shills, the Obama shills in the peace movement, the foundation-funded fakers who are going to find ways not so much to support Obama, but to sabotage effective action. People who say, oh, let's have a demonstration on Tuesday because it's an anniversary, rather than on Saturday when people might actually show up. That is a form of thinly veiled sabotage. That is an attempt to protect Obama's anti-war flank, his left flank, from the criticism that he would normally deserve. And you notice various writers from The Nation. Remember Katrina vanden Heuvel's father, of course, the secretary to Wild Bill Donovan of the CIA. Need I say more? The writers from The Nation are out there saying it's perfectly possible to do an exercise in doublethink and support Obama to the hilt while opposing his unfortunate mistake in Afghanistan. Well, it's much more than that. So there's got to be a regroupment. There's got to be a separation of the wheat from the chaff. And people who are serious, organizations that are serious, will probably show up at this demonstration. The ones who are not serious will find a way to avoid this. And it'll always be, yes, we'll mobilize against Obama tomorrow or on Wednesday evening at 3 o'clock in the morning or something like this. They'll always have some reason to self-sabotage. I would also warn against the growing tendency towards civil disobedience, right? People who get petty bourgeois dilettantes, quite frankly, who are saying, well, I've tried demonstrating for 3 or 4 years now under Bush, and that didn't get anywhere, so I'm going to escalate the tactics. Yeah, right. Escalate the tactics based on a narrower and narrower base of support. That leads to despair, and, well, we've seen this film before. It was called The Weathermen. Remember them? A lot of government agents in there, right? Bernardine, Dorn, and Bill Ayers were in there, Obama's friends. So that method of radical tactics on a smaller and smaller base of popular support is simply political suicide, and that's a way to sabotage an effective opposition. What you've got to have is mass-based, nonviolent protest. The civil disobedience character should go and do their thing another day in another place. Most people cannot and will not get involved in that stuff. It is a form of sabotage, quite frankly, to tell people, yeah, you should show up and you'll be risking arrest. They won't come. That's a wonderful way to defend Obama's anti-war flank. Now, let's get into the heart of the matter, which is this December 1st speech by Obama at West Point. Some general issues to be dealt with. This is a whole new war, a brand new war. This is not the Bush-Cheney Afghanistan war. That was a very limited exercise. It was practically pro forma, the necessary attempt for political reasons to seem to be going to this never land of the Hindu Kush where where Osama bin Laden was thought to be lurking, right? An exercise in certainly aggression, but also strong elements of public relations. This is a new war, a brand new war, a much wider war. The headline for this speech is, Obama declares war on Pakistan. Yes, Obama declares war on Pakistan. Pakistan is the target. Afghanistan is simply a staging area. Afghanistan is a little bit like Kuwait, right? If you look at the role of Kuwait in the war in Iraq, Kuwait was the place where you could land your supplies and get everything together, have your air bases, and then you're going to go into Iraq and start fighting and killing. And that is the hidden meaning of all of this absurd dance, this incoherent pastiche of lies that Obama put forward in his December 1st speech at West Point. It is simply to use the situation in Afghanistan as a pretext and a springboard for unleashing a total civil war inside Pakistan and the breakup of Pakistan. We have many learned pundits telling us that there's a civil war in Afghanistan which has been going on for 30 years, and the U.S. is intervening on one side. That's much too narrow. The goal of this is to export that Afghan civil war, to continue to export it, to massively export it. Some export has already been done. But to export the Afghan civil war into Pakistan, leading towards the breakup of Pakistan. The goal ultimately has very little to do with Afghanistan. Afghanistan looks like it's also a candidate to be broken up. Why not? It has to be, given the dynamics of these ethnic groups in the region. The goal is the breakup of Pakistan into 3 or 4 petty states, micro-states or mini-states, to use Brzezinski's terminology, to prevent forever the obvious overland economic link-up. You might say it's a new version of the Silk Road, from Iran into Pakistan into China, from Iran into Pakistan into India. This would create essentially a Eurasian development block, right? Those pipelines, those railroads, that oil, that natural gas, and the commerce and the commercial relations and trade relations that would follow those pipelines would essentially put an end to the Anglo-American great game, which has been going on there for more than 150 years. The goal, therefore, is to export the Afghan civil war into Pakistan. Now, why not simply attack Pakistan directly? Why go through this absurd exercise, as many commentators have noted? What is this, as even Chris Matthews, Tweety, he's got nothing crawling up his leg anymore. He says this is a Rube Goldberg arrangement. Yes, it's a Rube Goldberg arrangement because what you're trying to do is to attack Pakistan going through Afghanistan. It's an oblique war, la guerre oblique, being waged through Afghanistan and into Pakistan, and we'll go into detail about that in just a minute.